Good seeing everybody. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
Nice. Yeah, let's get rolling. So,
Right.
tonight we're talking about the cost of saying yes. When you hear that, the cost of saying yes, what comes to mind for you guys off the bat? What are you thinking?
Putting things
Loss
on
of
your
time.
plate.
So, I heard putting things on your plate. What'd you say, Frank?
Loss of time.
Loss of time.
I think about the opposite.
What do
So
you
when I
mean?
saw, I jumped on 10 minutes prior on your WhatsApp just to see what the topic was in it. And I saw the cost of saying yes. And right away I thought, what about the cost of saying no?
To
I
who
thought the
is the
opposite.
question?
Huh?
The cost of saying no to who?
When I looked at it, that's the first thing I thought was forget about the cost of saying yes. About the cost of saying no sounds better to me these days.
I think
No,
I know
that's
where you're coming
exactly what it
from.
is.
Yeah, I got
That's the direction we're going.
that's
It's
what I
like every
thought.
time you say
That's what
yes,
I thought.
yeah. Every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And it might be yourself and your priorities, right?
Yeah. Okay. Before I put my 2 cents in there, I want to see where you're going with it, Monica, and then we can dive into it and go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, obviously saying yes, I'm a recovering people pleaser. And so I say yes to a lot of things or did. And that would often cost me time to do the things that really helped my business, helped me. And whether or not saying yes is the right answer or the correct step forward, I think what's most important is knowing that you have to weigh that out and recognizing that it is a decision and whether or not you're conscious of that decision is really what matters the most. So quickly saying yes to something, you may be forgetting that you're saying no to something else, right? Whatever it is that you're saying yes to, it might sound fantastic in the moment. And then when it comes time, you're like, dang, but I really should be doing this. Or that would allow me to go to bed at the time I want to go to bed. Or I could have spent time doing something else. Or now I'm not going to be able to meal prep because I decided to go do that. Like whatever it is that you're saying yes to, as long as it is a conscious choice, go for it. But knowing that you are making a decision that could be a no for something else.
I think that's a really good point because I think it's sometimes easier to say yes without thinking of the consequences. And I think the terminology may be what makes it sound harsh because you're thinking like, okay, the cost of saying yes or the consequences of saying yes. But I think it's important to consider that too, because exactly what you were saying of there are considerations of, okay, saying yes to this thing is going to affect other things regardless of how you slice it. I think where Gracia is coming from too, and where I've been, is that sometimes you want to say yes to opportunity as it's coming up. So there's that balance of figuring out, okay, am I making this decision while considering all the things that I have as well? And I think just being mindful of being aligned, I think is important too. And kind of that is what helps you figure out the yes. But if this is what I want to either whether it's how I want to feel or things I want to accomplish or looking at things from a certain perspective and being able to look at all the opportunities that come to you and say, you know what, I can say yes to this because even though I don't know exactly how it's going to turn out, I think there's something that I could get from this here. And as long as you're benefiting from that, why not say yes? But make sure that before you say yes, because I think that's the issue is sometimes we hear the opportunity and we're just so quick to be like, yes, before even like really thinking about it.
Yeah. For me, I want everyone to do what they want to do. And I want you to do whatever is going to get you closer to who you want to be. And so if you're being conscious when you're making that decision, say yes to whatever you want. But I think as long as you are aware of your priorities and you're in alignment with what your priorities are, then you are going to make better decisions. Period. You're not going to be making decisions out of obligation or
Mhm.
shiny object or what sounds fun at the time. You're going to be making aligned decisions with what your long-term goals are. And even the opportunity concept, right? If this opportunity sounds great, but you've already made a commitment to keep your current goal a priority, then no matter how great that opportunity sounds, you're still saying no to progressing on your priority to stay committed to what you said you're going to do. And so do that, but as long as you're aware of because I've decided to chase this new opportunity, I'm also not allowing myself the full commitment to this other thing. again, there's no right or wrong. It's just making sure that you're aware and that you're not just saying yes because it seems like a good idea or because you fear missing out on that opportunity. Because also being self-aware comes with that knowledge of nothing that is meant for me is going to miss me. And so if I sit with this and I'm not 100% on like jump towards this opportunity because it is the right next move, and reality deep down inside, I can still feel this like nagging. No, we made a commitment and we're supposed to be sticking to this thing that we truly believe is the direction we're supposed to be going, then you're not missing out on that.
That was well said.
Thank you. Really, it's just making sure that no matter what your decision is, that it's a conscious decision that's in alignment with your priorities. Right. And so if you're in alignment with your priorities, I know for a fact that I need to get XYZ done. This opportunity that presents itself, or this offer, or this shiny thing in front of me, whatever it is, or this obligation of somebody needs me and I should be there for them. But really, by me saying yes to this, I'm denying this priority, this goal that I told myself that I was going to do. Do whatever, but make sure you're making that decision based on having that process in front of you. Like I did have a consideration of what was presented to me, and I'm aware enough to know that by saying yes to this, I am saying no to progressing here. So it a lot of times things come towards us that look like opportunities, but in reality are distractions. So how do you feel about that?
I'm learning this now. Again, everything. I feel like every topic, I sometimes I feel like I should have known this, right? I'm in my 30s, I'm 35. I feel like I should have known half of this stuff, but so I feel silly when I feel like I'm saying I'm learning this now.
Please don't.
Cost to say yes thing really does cost you. So what I can just say is I'm learning now what the cost of yes really is. I didn't know
We're
that.
always learning, literally,
That
always.
people pleaser is the last one I just
Mhm.
finished. So I'm like, everybody's screwed now. Like anybody
Yeah.
they're like, what is Gracia doing? Gracia's learning to put Gracia finally first.
I was really hoping you were going to be on this call, not to call you out,
That's
but
okay.
because you've mentioned being a people pleaser and having a hard time saying no to people. And so I was like, I really hope Gracia's on tonight's call. I really hope that just for your own well-being, because I care about you, I hope you become more conscious of the things that you're saying yes to so that you recognize that sometimes that's a no to you. And there's only so many no's that you can take before you're just abandoning yourself.
Yeah, and it's slowly happening. So it's not like I'm just like no to everybody.
No, and that would be unkind. So I would hope you wouldn't do that.
And that's the only reason I was asking what you thought, because especially just the way that you started off by saying your first thought was, what is the cost of saying no?
I know. I was a little concerned. I was like, oh no.
Because that's what you're ultimately getting to, right? Because the cost to say yes is sometimes it costs you, and the cost to say no actually might benefit you. So it's like
Yes.
you would think that it'd be the opposite, but it's not always that way.
I think, Monica, you put it in a good way too, of a lot of the times it really is just that, like the FOMO of, I don't know if, what if the what ifs and, oh, this sounds like a good opportunity or this, whatever. And I really think, like you were saying, it all boils down to considering, okay, if you are to say yes to this, what are you saying no to? What does that take away from? Is this aligned with where you're headed or what you're working towards? And if it does align, then, go for it. But if it doesn't, being able to be disciplined enough to be like, you know what, I can't say yes to this because I told myself I'm committed to doing this. Because that's the thing of it too. When you have that discipline and consistency and you can see over time what you're able to accomplish just by sticking to what you said or focusing on one thing or like just doing something for 75 days or 90 days or whatever, you can really do a lot just by going all in on one thing.
In a few hours, like literally blocking off 3 hours where you do not answer to anyone but yourself can make a massive difference.
Something I really noticed that we'll say no to something that has to do with ourselves. I'm just gonna use examples here. Ray asks me to do something, and because I'm doing something with Jackie, I'd be like, yeah, I can't. I got something going on with Jackie I gotta do. But Ray asks me to do something, and I have plans with myself, maybe to eat a meal, maybe to take a walk, maybe to exercise for 15 minutes, whatever it is. And I will, yeah, Ray, I got you, no problem. Forget about
Mhm.
Gracia, but I will not do that for someone else. If the plan was to I had something with Jackie, I'd be like, yeah, Ray, I can't. But if it's for myself, every time. So I'm learning
Mhm.
that part, the cost because it's me. For someone else,
Mhm.
I won't budge on them, but for myself, I'll step all over myself. What?
That's that whole like self-prioritization
People
thing. Like,
pleaser.
yeah, that's 100% people pleasing and wanting. It comes from a beautiful, good place. Like you have a big heart, and I don't know you that well, but you seem like a very giving person and you want to be of service to others. But there does come a point, and I'm sure you've experienced it. Again, I don't know you, but I'm sure there comes a point where you're just annoyed by the whole situation that you put yourself in. And you might feel this urge of no one cares about me, no one respects my time, no one da da da. And in reality, you don't respect your time. Like no one is to blame. They only ask because you give.
And
They
no one.
only assume because you give. And so until you start having this concept in your mind, just because I don't have something happening doesn't mean I'm available. I can't stand when someone's like, "Are you busy?" No, I'm not busy, but that does not mean I'm available to you. I don't like these like weird open-ended questions. I need to know what you need from me so then I can measure my response.
You
Because
ask
just because I'm not busy does not mean that I'm not available. And so my response to "Are you busy?" says depends on for what, because it really does.
Yep.
And I used to feel horrible. I would never even write that before. But once I started doing it, I was like, dang, this is fantastic. Like my new rule with people is text me if it's a good time to call. Do not call me. I will not answer. I promise you. I won't answer on the basis that you had the audacity to just call me. Text me, is this a good time to call? And I probably will say yes. But if you just call, I will look at the phone and be like, oh no, I will not answer. And that sounds insane for me to even say out loud, but it's made a massive difference in my life. Massive.
What were you gonna say, Avita? I gotta hear it.
I'm like, now I have multiple things. Hi. I'm like that added to it. No, I was thinking about when she shared her examples. It's funny because I had a friend share with me recently, and she was doing an exercise with somebody she's been meeting with, and he told her, okay, if we meet weekly, right? And he's, if I don't show up one week, what would your response be? What would you say? How would you feel? Write that down. And so she wrote it down. And he was like, okay, and we were working on goal setting, or there was something active. And then in that system, he's like, okay, when you have these things that you're working on, if you miss a deadline or you miss whatever it was you were aiming for, he's like, I want you to go look at that. And it's this, to me, like it builds on that same idea of like when it's someone else, we're like upset with them or, oh, no problem, I'll go help you. But when it's us, I thought that was interesting too, because we might all have a different answer to that. But it's okay, what would you tell that person that stood you up? Like for me, I take a different approach than she would, where she was like really upset and what a waste of time. And for me, I'm like, are you okay? Is everything fine? And so I feel like it was a good reminder of, okay, however you would tell somebody else, do the same for yourself. Did an emergency come up? Did you just need this time for you? Or did we just not do it because we just didn't do it? Okay,
Yeah.
when I'm disappointed and let's reset and let's try again or whatever it is. But I thought that was interesting where I was like, ooh, that's a
And I
good
feel like it is a good one, but it also, if you want to dig a little deeper, which is what I always try to lean towards, is a lot of times if you look at how you would respond to this person, it's because of your own personal standards. I would never do that. Therefore, you are super irritated because you would never. Because you hold yourself to such a high standard versus giving yourself grace. And once you're able to give yourself grace, then you can start having grace for others. But it's really difficult to have grace for other people if you wouldn't give it to yourself.
It also
Yeah.
really depends on who that other person is. If I have a meeting with Jackie and Jackie never late stays me up, if something comes up, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, is everything okay? It's just a different compared to someone who's always talking shit, always not about it, always, and then that person's I'm like, and
But then
those are the people,
also,
those are the people that I'm
again, I flip
People
it back
going
on
to
you
people.
because you've allowed it for so
yeah.
many
But
times
that's what
that
I'm
now
saying.
you're
So with someone
irritated.
like Jackie, I wouldn't be so bothered. I wouldn't be so
Mhm.
I'd probably pick up her call. Now that other person who's got this habit, I'm like, okay, you're the person I'm gonna make the example of, and you're the first person that's gonna be restricted, and I'm gonna stop enabling you to violate my time like this.
Yeah. And really, that boundary should be across the board. That way, no one has the opportunity of really getting to there. People are going to naturally respect it. And then there's other people who aren't, and they're going to naturally be filtered through because the boundary is across the board. It doesn't matter who the person is. So if you cross it 3 times, you're out. I don't care if it's whoever it is. And then you can stop having this reoccurring issue that gets you to this place of feeling like these people are just wasting your time because you're like, you've hit number 3 and you're out. 3 strikes, baby.
I think that's what's tough too, is recognizing that not everybody is going to have the same level of awareness or care about the same things you do. You know what I mean? Like we're
Mhm.
talking about learning, like people are constantly learning. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad person, but if
No.
like we're in this space where we're being more intentional with our time, or we have things planned out or whatever it is, if they're not in that space, you also realize I can't force you to care about this. Like,
No.
you
And
just
all you can do is
might not get
communicate
it.
effectively.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you've communicated, like this is when
Yeah.
I asked everyone to start texting me instead of just calling me. I had to let them know so that they didn't wonder why I just wasn't answering their calls. So if I don't answer your call, you're probably gonna be like, oh shoot, she did say to text her first,
And
and everything is cool.
My iteration of that is I've just told people like, so they're like, oh, I didn't want to bother you. And I'm like, no, it's cool. Call me. If I'm busy or I'm unavailable, I won't answer. I'll call you or I'll text you or whatever. And that helps me to be like, no, I'm releasing and I'm letting you know. And also I have to work on like the guilt of same thing. I'm working on they call. No one said you have to answer.
No one said, no one.
Are you busy? I'm like, oh my God, I felt that so much, because that's the worst when you're like, no, but now I feel guilty that I'm like not doing something. And it's like, I shouldn't have to.
I hate that question.
Or just because you're working 14 hours doesn't mean that I have to. Or
Which is why I prefer the is now a good time to talk. Because then you can be honest and say, no, it's not. And you can tell them an answer or not, details, but it's such a better answer or question.
That's a good one.
One of the things I learned is like when you miss a call, some people are like, hey, sorry, I missed your call. Stop saying sorry. The hell are you sorry for? They called unannounced. They probably called with no actual intention. So just took 10 minutes of your time, maybe just to help them with it's just so that I learned that too. It's because I would always be like, hey, sorry, but I'll give you a wild example. I live in Florida. My son's grandparents and father lives in Jersey or PA, whatever. They just dropped into Florida and didn't know they were coming apparently. And on the same day, like 2-3 weeks ago, hey, we're in town. You think we can go get Chris this afternoon? And I'm like, no. Normal me, I had a meltdown. I was so pissed. I was annoyed, but I didn't let it get to me. Normally, I would probably let it marinate, probably hold on to it for a little bit, but I was just annoyed. I'm like, you knew you were coming. You didn't just land 1,500 miles away. Just
No, you booked a flight. Stop talking to me.
Even if you drove, shit, on your way down.
That's hours of time. That's literally 8 to 10 hours of time. I don't want to hear it.
So I made it work, but the old me would have been like, I would have reshuffled my whole day to please these people. But I was like, I have plans. And I didn't say, I literally text, this is why I brought it up, because I literally text, hey, I'm sorry. And then I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck am I sorry? Delete, erase. I'm not sorry. Hey, I'm busy. Maybe another day. I was on a head away. And guess what? They didn't see her. They left. They never got to see him. Why? Because you should have planned ahead. You're coming to the state where your son lives. You didn't think you're coming literally to the same city. Anyway, all right.
People learn. That's all you need to know. People learn.
But yeah, the whole sorry thing is don't apologize for having a life.
I think that's a good segue into the boundary setting. And I like that you bring that up too, because sometimes even just the first one of the pause, it's so easy for us to just answer right away without even thinking about it. And then typically we're answering in a way that we don't want to. In that situation, like Gracia was saying, back then it was just like you're not even thinking, you're just like, oh, I have to do this. If you just like take a second and you're like, okay, wait, but is this the best option? Does this make sense for us? Like you said, they inconvenienced me. Just because the situation is right this second doesn't mean you're not allowed to be like, let me think about it. And I feel
I probably could have made it work, but
exactly
inconvenience myself, shuffle everything around. And that's what I would have done. But now you're right. I'm much more mindful of every action I'm taking. I don't care what it is, even at a red light. Instead of flicking off this person who might get out of the car and put a bullet in my head, you know what? I'm going to pray for them. I have to be mindful about every action because that's the crazy world we live in.
Absolutely. And, that setting the boundaries concept, it literally is the best way to love somebody, and being very clear about, I want you in my life, and therefore, this is what it looks like. It's not about that you don't want them to see your son. It's about that their choices have made it so that it's disrespectful to your time. And that's not going to fly. And so at some point, they're going to stop doing that because they're going to recognize like that's a boundary. Like my time matters. And the fact that you've chosen, like you made a very conscious choice to not give me a heads up, to not allow me to prioritize you guys being here.
It
Those are
wasn't even
things
like, let me
that,
pick him up, let me take him from your hands. Can I help you? Maybe take him to basketball practice. It was, hey, can we come by your house? No, you can't just intrude.
But
No.
see, you weighed the cost of saying yes to that situation.
absolutely.
You said I waited?
Yeah,
That's good
Figured it
enough.
out. You weighed
that's
it out.
good.
You're
Oh,
like, I could say yes and completely jack up my whole day, or saying no allows me to preserve my energy and keep going about my day the way I already had it planned. And so,
Jack again. It would have, but it's just me inconveniencing myself to please somebody else yet again. I was like, oh,
yeah,
I couldn't believe it. People just, but I've probably enabled that. Maybe next
I was
time.
just gonna say, I bet you've said yes before, and so
Love
That's a good point.
his grandparents on the other side. Nothing against
yeah,
them.
yeah, no, and it doesn't, and like I said, it literally has nothing to do with much.
So what is
Yeah.
about the boundary you're saying? The worksheet?
Yeah, the concept that boundaries are more like bridges versus like complete barriers. That's not the point. And if you're setting boundaries to do that, then you've crossed over into an unkind space, right? Like now the boundary is like at a spite, and that's not the purpose. The purpose is a bridge of this is what it's going to take to make this so that it works for my life if it's something that's being asked of you, and allowing it to be something that works for both of you. And when you get more practiced at this, you can be better at effectively communicating that and say, what would have worked better for this situation is if you had let me know you were on the way, I could have made time. And one day you're going to get to that spot.
I didn't say it because when I try to put it in, I try to put that into a message like 6 times, and every time I was like, you know what? Some things don't need to be said. You should have known. You should have just known. And just out of curiosity, saying no to others is saying yes to yourself, and saying yes to others is saying no to yourself. Is that where you both?
Mhm.
And everyone agrees on this call? That's just how it is every time, no matter what.
No,
Okay.
it can be. It can be. If the person that you're saying yes to is in alignment with what works for you, then it's the yes is a fantastic yes. But if saying yes to them makes you compromise what your priorities are, then it's a no to you. And that's the measurement you have to have. One, being aware of what your priorities are. Two, being aware if this is in alignment with my priorities. And then if it is, then you can choose if it still feels good. If it's a feel yes, no, yes or no. But you have to be aware of what your priorities are, and to make sure that you're not just saying yes out of obligation, to make sure that you're not just saying yes so that you look good, to not just say yes to be nice. There's so many times that we say yes just to be nice to someone or just to convenience them. And in reality, like, I don't even really want to talk to you. And I also know I'm not going to get anything out of talking to you. And so there's nothing that's filling my cup at all. And so saying yes to you isn't a yes to me. It has to be a yes to both for it to truly be in alignment.
Interesting. I just told someone at a meetup that came to our meetup. It was his first time coming. Been talking to him for a while, and I was like, "You should come." And he's like, "I don't know." I'm like, "You just wing it and talk." But he went there in his first meetup, and I feel like I failed. I'm like, first of all, how do you fail at a meetup? But I understood where he was coming from because he explained to me, obviously, how he felt. And I told him, these meetups are like speed dating. You should, if it doesn't align with you, on to the next. Don't waste 40 minutes talking to one person when you guys are not even in the same headspace.
Absolutely. You have to go to the bathroom. Just go to the bathroom.
You know, some
Please.
just, so he was like, why do you do
I
that?
pee a lot at meetups, and I'm not actually peeing.
How do you do that? I said, honestly, I'm not a sugarcoating kind of person. I'm like, hey, what do you do? What you got? What you need? Yeah, not for me. Sorry, next. And on to the next. That's what you got to do to find. And then when you do make that connection that aligns with you, then you know you have that. But it's just funny because you're saying this whole align thing and wasting time. It's like, even at the meetup, that it just reminded me of that guy who went to, and I was like, just find what you need. No. And that person who is, you take it down and you make a connection with them. But I think he felt like he failed because they would ask him what he's looking to do. And I was like, just tell him sober living. That's it. Sober living. 2 words. Stop going on. You lost them. You lost their interest. You lost everything.
Yeah. And to be fair, you have to fail in order to get better. You have to recognize I'm wasting their time just as much as I'm wasting my own. And so until you fail enough times to get that thing down, how are you going to know? So you just got to chalk it up to, I'm going to suck at this. I've never been. I'm going to be foolish. I'm going to talk to people I have no business talking to. You have to recognize that failure is just part of it. Imagine never speaking on stage and thinking the first time you're going to get up there, you're going to be Tony Robbins. Like, you're not. Tony Robbins wasn't Tony Robbins the first time he got up on stage.
And in the same concept, people saying yes to him, they were saying no to themselves because now they're losing time of what They're sitting there. I walked away. I couldn't. I was like, hey, this is okay, gotta go. I reintroduced them to someone else. And I was like, they're calling me. I'm gonna have to go
I
back.
think I hear my name.
That was definitely a
But
learn-
it was, again, it's the same thing. So somebody was saying yes to him and they were saying no to themselves because they were there with a purpose and he stole that purpose
It
from them.
literally happens all the time. So the more conscious you can be, the better, I feel like, is truly like the bottom line, and just knowing what to do next time.
Yeah, like I was kind of showing in the video. I'll just grab my phone, pull it up to my head. I'm sorry.
Got a
Okay.
call. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just make sure that the screen's black, because otherwise it's not believable. I learned that the hard way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that before. And someone
Good.
like, that's not what it looks like when someone calls you. And I'm like, shit. So
That would be
just
my
make
luck.
sure- Yeah.
If
I've
we
literally
on
done that
phone
before.
call, come on.
You're on Instagram. Yeah. So don't be
Okay,
like,
One of your questions is how would it feel to start honoring my own capacity? I think I'd feel like a new woman, like just unstoppable. Damn, have I been abused my whole life now that I think about it?
ma'am, why do you think I've been wanting you on this call? Literally, as I was typing up this document, I was like, if Gracia doesn't show up, ooh,
I've been abused my whole life. It's pretty honoring your own. How would it make me feel to start honoring my own capacity? I think that's pretty deep, just the question itself.
and I think a lot of times we feel irritated with others not honoring our capacity, when in reality, it's you. Like it's always you. You can't expect other people to honor your capacity. Who are they? Like they can't protect you more than you protect yourself. And so once you take ownership of that, your whole life is a new place. It literally is.
Oh, interesting. I feel it. I feel the effects of what's going on, even with my own relationship. Like he wants to get into a heat, and I'm like, let's talk like adults or keep your voice, let's talk it out. And if he's not aligned with how I'm trying to communicate it, I walk away. I'm like, he's like, you're just gonna walk away. I said, yep, protecting my peace. Good night. I just walked away. I don't care. I just stopped caring. And he's, well, I'm not used to this. Where the fuck, where does Gracia come from? I'm like, get used to her.
Because the
This
other
is
Gracia would
Tuesday night
instigate
call.
it.
The other Gracia would engage, and then I would lose my shit. And now the freaking little tiny fight just became huge blowout. And now I'm just like, I'm gonna walk away from you.
But things like that too, really, they surprise the other person and it gets them to stop in their track to be like, holy shit, what changed? What is she doing that? And so that's a good thing. The more that we start being intentional about how we go about ourselves with the way we communicate or the things that we're going after, or just being more intentional, the more people around you start to notice that, and it influences them to do the same thing for themselves.
Yeah, it shows them the permission slip of, especially when you get good at it and you don't come across as an asshole. They're like, damn, that was smooth. And you're like, it took a lot of times of me being an asshole or coming across as an asshole, right? Because it's such a stark change, people aren't used to it. And so you seem very selfish at the beginning. And that sucks. It
Like,
sucks feeling that way.
I think like you said earlier too, Monica, how you were like, okay, with time, you learn how to finesse these things better too. So I also think it's like that combination, right? Because like at first it's just abrupt to them and they're like, I feel like sometimes people almost flip out more on you.
Totally.
So poking the bear where they're like, come on, let's do this though. Like, where you at? You know, and then if you stick with it, you're like, in the beginning, you're learning where you're like, I set the boundary, but like, I don't have the manual on what to say next ready. And so I think the more we build that up of our own vocabulary or awareness or these different tools and just how to handle these situations, I think that also helps too, to where either people are going to respect those boundaries or those people weed themselves out. And like that's
And
natural progression.
yeah, exactly. And having the vulnerability of being honest with someone. Like, I have a friend, she literally is the one that has modeled a lot of this for me. And I've always been like, that was so brave of you, because it could have gone left and it didn't. Of literally just saying, hey, this is new for me. This whole setting boundaries with people that I love is new for me. I hope that you can navigate this with me. And please know that it's coming from a space of love. Like, I genuinely love you and I want you in my life, but I have to start setting these boundaries because I feel like I'm abandoning myself. And that is worse than making you feel good. And so she started setting these boundaries that did feel like rejection a lot of the time for me. And it wasn't until we had these conversations and I started recognizing, like, the reason I feel rejected is because I don't have the bravery to do this for myself. That's the only reason. I know she loves me, and I know that this is coming from a space of wanting to be close. And so this rejection I'm feeling is really my internal radar being like, oh my gosh, don't you ever do this to other people, because you're going to come across this way. And so watching her navigate it in such a way that was like, yes, this isn't comfortable, but you're sticking with it, regardless of how uncomfortable this is, was so admirable that I was like, I'm going to try it and see where, like, how this works for me, and try to have similar grace in the process for myself and how other people handle it. I understand when people feel weird about boundaries. I get it. It's not fun. Knowing that lets me have grace and then see how they navigate it going forward. But just knowing that all of this is not taught, like, we don't learn this.
I was just thinking that, like, when you think about even kids, for example, there's that example of the grandparents coming to see the grandchild and they're just like grabbing them and squeezing them and kissing them. And the 9 times out of 10, the kid does not like that. And you're not taught to set those boundaries of, hey, I don't like this. It's like you're expected to do that just because, and it obviously it comes from a good place, but it's still, that's not the point. It's the point of the fact that like the kid is like, yo, what is this? Like this feels suffocating or it feels whatever. And being able to instill that into a child is very rare, to give them that voice to speak up and be like, no, this is my boundary.
And that was one of the things that she does. She taught her children to say no thank you when someone wanted a hug. And she had to tell, I know it's crazy, right? But and one of the first boundaries that she set with me that I was like, wait, what? I'm a very physically affectionate person, and her children are extremely physically affectionate, and I love them. Like, they're my favorite human. We're very, like, as soon as they see me, it's a lot of hugging, a lot of jumping on you. And one of her first things is, I'm trying to teach them to have physical boundaries with people, even if they love them. And so please don't hug them unless you ask first. And I was like, I'm not a weirdo. That's the first thing that pops in your head. I'm not trying to touch your children in a weird way. And she's like, are you serious right now? Obviously it's not. I'm trying to help you help me model it to them. Has nothing to do with you. It's making sure that they know that even the people who I know and I'm comfortable with should have to ask me this question. And I'll be like, hey, you want a hug? And now it's like supernatural. Like, we literally hug and they're like, yeah. And so it's totally normal. But at first it was this weird, like, why would you ask me to do that? And so that was some of the things that we had to navigate. And now it's like totally normal and not weird. But that at first that was tough. I cried. It was a whole thing. But I was proud of her for being able to do that.
One of the things that this reminds me of with the whole boundary, and just thinking about it right before you mentioned this whole children topic, is that we should have learned, or I should have, let me speak for myself, because the way my parents were sometimes growing up was, why can't I? It's like, I said no. And I'm like, well, why can't I? Because I said so. Literally was not enough for me when I was young. But now I understand that it literally should be enough. And because people will, most of the time my parents would say, because I said so. And that was literally it. Now we give explanations and I sometimes I tell myself, I'm like, I don't owe you an explanation. I said no, that's it.
No is a complete sentence.
Literally, that's what I just
literally.
Mom and dad is a pain in the ass sometimes, but it is so cool.
I know, the power. But yeah, it's a journey.
Her words been no to me, Jeff.
He's on point.
And the changes are coming, guys, just so you know. And this is like side note stuff, but Phil was gone for about 7 weeks, my boyfriend. Sometimes he's on the call, sometimes he's not. He likes these things. So anyway, he came home after 7 weeks and he was like, I feel the difference. Like, I can feel, because when you're with someone every day, if they're changing or working on themselves, you don't see it, you don't feel it, you don't know it, because you're with them every damn day. So he was gone for 7 weeks and he comes home, he's like, this is different. I'm like, I need you to either get with it. I'm not telling you to change overnight. I'm not telling you to be perfect. I'm telling you that I'm working on me, and I need you to not screw that up, because I'm on a path. 4.5 years or not together, I'm on a path of taking anything out of that's going to get in my way. That includes you. And he was like, okay, like, I get it. I was like, I'm letting you know now. So it's just interesting how all this stuff taking effect, that saying no, the putting the boundaries, that all of this stuff is just put it into action, and people are going to see it. Whether they respect it or not is one thing, but when they see it and they know, okay, this is real, they're either going to, like somebody said, they either have to change their ways, and if they don't want to change their ways, that's fine, but you ain't going to be in my way.
And always check in with yourself. Like, how do you feel? Do you feel so much better when you do those things? Do you feel like a more complete version of yourself? Do you feel like you're honoring yourself? Because if yes, then you're on the right path. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if it's uncomfortable, if at the end of it, you're just like, dang, I'm so glad I said no to that. Or I'm really glad I held that boundary. Like, those things are going to start coming up for you, which is going to make it so much easier because the payoff is massive and it starts feeling better than saying yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like that
exactly.
last sentence. The boundaries build the life you actually want. And I think that's just us practicing how we express or communicate those to the people that we want in our lives. And yeah, exactly like you said, Gracia, you're allowed to choose you, and either the people respect that or they're just not meant to be in your life.
Right.
Now I'm trying to show him because he's a yes man to everything and everybody. I'm like, all right, you want to say yes? Say
Yeah.
yes. There he is. Oh shit, I gotta stop talking shit now, guys. No, I'm just kidding. But that's what I was telling him, that he's a yes man also. And I was telling him, you gotta stop yesing everybody. You can say no, it's okay. Just not to me,
Mhm.
but anybody else.
Right, right. And just by modeling it, like I said, my friend was such a fantastic example of seeing someone do it. Like, you're going to influence him. That's literally why we get into relationships with people, is to be
Well, I'm modeling
influenced
it for
in a
him.
positive way.
I love it. Good talk, guys. Good
I
one.
know.
All right, you guys ready for the meditation?
Let's do this.
Yes.
Sweet.
Everyone take a deep breath in, get settled wherever you are comfortable. Close your eyes. Fill your belly with air. Fill your chest. And exhale fully. Using your breath to fill your body with self-care and conviction, realigning yourself to your goals and your priorities. And every time you exhale, releasing obligations, posturing, pretending, people pleasing, releasing all of the things that no longer serve you and your highest good. Inhaling things that are in alignment with who you want to be. Exhaling any fear of what people might think. What that might look like. And as you imagine yourself, get a picture of yourself in your mind's eye. And imagine what you look like fully prioritized. Imagine if you gave yourself the time and the energy, the grace that you give to everyone else. Imagine what that person would be like if they were given all the things that you willingly give to others. That compassion, that love, giving yourself just the right amount of time to answer whether or not saying yes or no is in alignment with your highest self. Is this yes a loving act towards myself? Or is this going to neglect my needs? And if it will, because sometimes it will neglect your needs, ask yourself if it's worth it temporarily. And are you willing to say no somewhere else to realign yourself, to bring yourself back to being a priority? And if all of this is new and foreign and scary, what's the smallest way that you can start to give yourself priority? Give yourself the gift of you. You are a gift to so many in so many ways. And how can you turn that gift on yourself? What's a 20-minute, 1-hour activity that feels like a yes for you? Just enough time to fill your cup, to feel appreciated, to feel taken care of. What's one thought that pops into your mind when you think of times that you say yes and deep down or very close to the surface, either or, it's a no, but you continue to say yes? Is that something that you can shift? Is that something that you can communicate kindly and lovingly that it is no longer a yes and that it will be a no? Or that it is not an automatic yes, that it's a maybe. Even small tweaks like that can make such a difference. Whenever we choose ourselves, whenever we pour into ourselves, it reinforces an inner trust, an inner knowing, creates stability, it fuels our intuition, it creates a stronger, confident, fully materialized person. And the more you pour into that cup, the more in alignment your choices become. You can become an example for others, create a ripple effect. Create space around you for opportunities, joy, energetic alignment. So many things feel less heavy, less cluttered, less chaotic. Your peace feels reclaimed. And the world needs people coming from that space, moving through the world with that energy. So by choosing yourself, you are giving a gift to everyone around you. Let's take some deep breaths and feel that feeling of a person who's been chosen, prioritized, stable, trusting themselves, confident in their decisions, moving through life in alignment with their higher purpose, their higher self, confident in the answers they give, knowing that they feel good in their heart, their stomach, their gut, and their mind. All of it is in alignment. Breathe into that feeling, that reality, that person that is within you right now. I want to thank you all for coming today, joining us, just sharing your energy. We appreciate you so much. The light in me sees and recognizes the light in each of you. Namaste. Feel free to stretch, wiggle, whatever to bring yourself back to the room.
Thank you for that, Monica. That was a good visual.
So welcome.
Yeah,
And
good.
on time.
Yeah, good conversation, guys. Honestly, I really appreciate every one of you being here. I think it's just really cool to have people in my circle that want to grow and care about their personal development. And even just the beginning of how we talked about as simple as just taking the consideration of before you say yes to something, what does that mean exactly? And I think it's just really cool that each one of you are here because you care about yourselves in that way. So yeah, it's good to see you guys tonight.
And we
Can I-
appreciate you saying yes to us and this call.
As
Yeah,
always.
exactly. Was that you? I don't know who that was.
That was me. Sorry, that was LaQuint.
Oh, what'd you say? I missed it.
I think
I
you said
said, as
exactly.
always.
Oh,
as
yes, of
always.
course.
Always.
Yeah.
Oh, I
As
got
That's
you.
always.
good.
I got
Oh
you.
man, that's
All
too
right,
funny.
guys. You guys
Thank
finish
you.
the rest of your week out strong. We'll see you next week.
Thank you
Tom,
guys.
take care.
Thanks,
Bye.
Danny.
Love hanging out with you guys as always.
Bye, guys.